to the Marketing Drip, where we drip tips to scale your business digitally. Abbey here, and the topic today is digital ads. We're going to talk about what trends are in the past and the present to set your business up for success. The silver or gold bullet for running the perfect ad campaign, the different types of ads that is best for your ROI, and how to target the right group of people, and finding the best partner to trust to grow with. I'm going to be talking with Nate the Great, the manager of client operations and paid media at Digital Resource. Nate is a leader at Digital Resource for over the past few years and has really elevated how we approach digital advertising. He started working in digital marketing back when Facebook required a college email, and he's seen how the industry and technologies have really changed over the years and is always staying ahead of the trends. Plus, he really breaks down visually what to expect. Let's begin today's drip provided by Digital Resource, a full-service digital marketing agency that is your resource for everything digital. Well, hello there, Nate, and thank you so much for dripping some knowledge on us today. Yay!
Yay! Oh, it's my pleasure. Been very much looking forward to this conversation. It's been like the highlight of my week. So I'm
Yay!
excited, very excited.
We always like being a highlight. So that's good. But you have been in digital marketing for a while now. So what are major changes that you've seen over the years? I'm curious.
Yeah, it's wild. It's kind of like one of those things where the more things change, the more they stay the same. And when it comes to digital marketing and digital advertising, there's always a state of flux. The reason being is we're dealing with a lot of algorithmic properties, right? And so for layperson, what that means is how the social media platforms are serving content to you, how Google is indexing websites, and how you bidding on keywords is going to affect showing ads. And so I think the biggest thing that's changed in the last even 5 years is the perception that digital marketing can be free. Like think about social media marketing, for instance. It used to be this, oh my God, social media is free. It's going to build your brand. And 5 years later, everybody's on Facebook, everybody's on Instagram. They're starting to penetrate TikTok. So competition is at an all-time high. And that's why it's really important to consider marketing, digital marketing, as an investment, not necessarily something that you're just going to check the box. Because to really make an impact, there is an investment of dollars that is going to raise awareness for every business, regardless of the vertical. Otherwise, you'll get stuck in the clutter. And that's something that we talk to partners all the time about, is their perceptions of what marketing is and how to get out there. And they're like, oh, I'll just put my stuff on Instagram and I'll be, I'm going to go viral.
Solid.
It's just not like that, right? It's much more competitive these days on all platforms.
It's so true. I remember back in the day, when, Facebook, you had to have a university email.
Yes,
and it was literally like a private group that you had to be a part of. And I love that you say it's overnight, right? Like all of a sudden everybody has access, all businesses now, it's a platform for them. It's an opportunity, a community for people to have these ads, make sure they're getting out there. And you kind of touched on it, but I want to dive into that a little bit more, Nate, about, is there anything out there that's old news that business owners think is still relevant today and they're still utilizing?
It's so interesting. I love that question, because there's one thing that I think people don't consider as relevant just because it's so commonplace. And I'll say email marketing, because it's something that you talk to digital marketers and they'll say, oh, email, like nobody checks email. And that's not true. Like the data is showing us that people are constantly checking their emails. If those subject lines are attractive, if it's the right segmentation to the list, you're going to get a lot of love from your email campaigns. So that I would say, if there's something that's not relevant anymore, I don't know that it's the exact answer to that question, but it's something I think people forget because it's just so common. In terms of not being overly relevant, the biggest thing I would say is, no, everything's relevant. Now that I'm thinking about it, everything is relevant.
That. Yeah.
It's just where things fit. A digital resource, we like to think of everything in this consideration funnel, where there's an awareness stage, a consideration stage, decision stage, and an action stage. So all marketing verticals fit somewhere categorically in that funnel. So in terms of things not being relevant anymore, it may not be as impactful as it used to be for a particular business. But I think most of the channels that we have right now, and I will even say traditional as a digital guy, like that's blasphemy, right? You shouldn't say that. But everything has a place. It's just a matter of the execution of it.
Yeah, I love that you say that, Nate. As far as, digital is where everything's at. That's a space where everybody knows that that's where the audience is. It's what people are used to. They don't go to the yellow pages anymore, right? And look up their phone book and try to look up if they need a plumber or whoever. they're now going on Google, right? That's the norm, but it's not extinct. Like when I
Hmm.
think of, I was just talking to a financial advisor yesterday, one of our partners, and he was saying that he's got a client, a dental practice, and they want to do postcards. Abby,
Hmm.
should they do postcards? And I was like, it's not, again, that they're extinct. It's not that like it's gone away. It can be effective. And I've seen it for businesses that is really
Hmm.
effective. It just really comes down to the type of person that you're attracting, the quality.
Absolutely.
It's like, do you want that loyal patient for life, or do you just want somebody that's going to price shop? And same with any business. It just really, and you probably find this too with different industries, it could change on what tactics to go about and what business.
Yeah, I love that you brought up your the financial advisor space. We've actually worked with partners too that we've blended traditional with digital, right? So
Yeah.
imagine having this list of addresses that you're going to serve post mailers to, but also being able to upload those addresses to Facebook to serve ads to at the same time. They're waiting for that postcard, and then delivering programmatic advertising to the same addresses. So if they leave Facebook and they're reading piece of blog content or even watching a video on Hulu, you get them with another message. And that's what digital marketing is all about, is multiple touches to get a conversion. And I think that's going back to the first question, is what is something that people don't think about. It takes multiple touches to get a conversion regardless of the industry. And
Yeah.
so coming to this question, talking about mailers, they could fit in those amount of touches, right? So they may have seen the ad on Facebook, they may have gotten served a banner ad on a blog they're reading, and then the mailer arrives in the mail, and oh my God, serendipity, right? I need to do business with this company, and that works. So everything
Creating
has a
fate.
place.
Yeah.
Everything has a place. Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. It's everybody acts differently. So you have to have that presence in those different platforms. There's not just like a golden bullet that's going to work for everything. If it did, oh my God, that would be amazing and our life would be a lot easier.
The
But it's
amount of
not
times,
that way.
it's, I love that you just said that, the amount of times our teams will see data and go, because when you think about it, right, the tools we have are very faceless, personalityless data sets. But these are
Yeah.
actual people on the other end, and they're going through life, and they're not overly concerned with a particular brand in the moment that they don't need that brand. So it's important to stay in the game constantly and not look at your marketing mix as a silver bullet, but it's a comprehensive approach to the marketplace that you're trying to attract those ideal patients. You're trying to get those ideal consumers in the door, and doing so in a dynamic way.
Yeah. And speaking of, you touched on, oh, there's mailers, there's Hulu, there's Google, there's Facebook, there's, oh my gosh, how is anybody supposed to keep up? Any business owner, how are they supposed to keep up with these constant changes evolving in the industry?
Yeah, so it's a very deep pool, right?
Mhm.
I would say that probably the easiest thing, and knowing that we are in the marketing space, having a partner that you trust that will walk you through all of these things is probably my best recommendation. And here's why. A lot of times small business owners will spend a lot of time and money doing it themselves. And with all of these tools, they're getting very complex. There's a lot of data behind them. And it's not just flipping the switch or posting anymore. It's understanding the data of that digital action and what that data is telling you the marketplace thinks of your presence. So that will be my best recommendations. How do you stay up to date? Well, you got to be a student of the game. You got to find some resources that you like to read. Personally, I set up a Feedly account, which is an RSS feed of all these different articles across the web. And every morning I read them, every single morning, because that's what you have to do to stay up. So if you're, a business owner and you're saying, well, that sounds like a lot of work. It's a full-time job. We have 12 digital advertisers here that's what they do to stay up, right? So I would say finding a partner you trust would be my best recommendation, but also a partner that you can hold accountable. Because to create a true partnership, you have to know that they are understanding your goals and what's important to you, and not just pushing the flashy digital
We're not recording
advertising
or
platform
anything.
on
Yeah.
you. This is going to, don't tell anybody I said this, right? Because this is like our secret. But sometimes yeah, it's fine. But sometimes Facebook is not the play, right? Sometimes it's just not a good play for you. And you have to have a partner that's going to tell you that. And as bad as you say, oh, I want my ads on Instagram, I want to be on Instagram. But if you need to be really participating with Google Ads, you need a partner that's going to give you that hard truth to lead you to the results that you want. So outside of getting a partner, I really do think it's just committing to just
Oh
industry
yeah.
articles, but it does
Yeah.
get sticky. People get out of their depth really quickly. Oh, fun fact. You remember Geek Squad? Okay, so here's why you got to pick a good partner. Geek Squad had a whole marketing campaign hinged on creating content to tell people how to do things themselves. So, like, why would a company like Geek Squad do that? Part of their content marketing strategy was to teach the average person how to work on their own computer. Well, they knew that at a certain point, everybody gets out of their depth. And in fact, that person may have made
Brilliant.
more problems for themselves by
Yeah.
trying to do it themselves. In comes Geek Squad. So that's that's it, right? You can always create more problems by
And
trying to
that's
do it
typically
yourself,
what
and you
you
can't get
hear,
that
right?
time
Like
back.
find
You
a
can't get
partner
that
that you
money
trust.
back, and
I
that's why it's
love
really
that you
important to find a
said,
partner
but
that you
it's
trust.
also about accountability. It's also about, and I think by having that accountability, that's where you gain that trust because there's so many
100%, yeah,
different options out there. So many people are saying different things. If you are doing research on your own, how do you know which article is valid and which isn't? And if it pertains to your industry and your business and your situation, it comes down to the goals and understanding who you are and having experts in that field to really know and doing that research for you. And so you can run your business and it's like, hey, these are the results that we're getting. A thing that's always missed is marketing is all about A/B testing. We have to trial and error
hmm
things, and the time and the dedication that you have to have, and making to your very point of the Geek Squad, I love that you're gonna do it yourself and you might break something, and if you don't know marketing well enough, you're gonna quit and you're gonna say it didn't work for me. No, it just that one little, maybe it was the audience that you were going after, maybe it was the time of day that you sent out the message.
absolutely.
Like there's so many elements, or to your point, frequency. It comes down to so
hmm
many things that's why it needs to have a dedicated person or team or partner that's really diving into that for you and waking up in the morning and reading. I That's amazing, Nate, and that makes it all the reason why you're on here so we can pick your brain because clearly you know what you're talking about and you've seen it all. So that being said, with digital resource, what do you think makes us the best? Little toot on us.
Oh, little one of these. Honestly, so I've been in the industry probably 12 years now, I've been on a lot of really good projects. I've worked with very large companies, and I'm actually getting goosebumps saying this. The confidence that I have in the team at DR is unlike anywhere else I've ever been, and it's for a few reasons. One is we're all constantly pushing ourselves. When we talk about accountability, like that'll pop up in conversations with people here because every single team member here holds another accountable for improving. And we have systems in place that we have all teams broken up in little groups. We call them pods. They push each other to get better all the time. And we firmly believe that iron sharpens iron. So when you talk to companies and they talk about, oh, culture is great, like we live and breathe our people. And we firmly believe that when you live and breathe your people, you'll see that come out in the work. And those individuals that we have here are extremely talented, and they go over and above every client every time and looking at the data, recommending ideas, surfacing bad news, right? Like we got to be tough, right? If something didn't work, we're the first ones to say, "Hey,
Yeah.
this isn't working. We need to change." And also finding more innovative ways to do things that most people think are impossible. And a little example I'll give you is we process thousands and thousands of Facebook leads every single day. And through a series of automations, we're able to dynamically populate that data to whatever CRM a particular partner may want, send it to them via email, text message, chatbot, literally anything. And that's one of the strengths our team has is we have the marketing service in and of itself, but we find ways to give it legs to take the heavy lifting off of our client partners so that all they have to do is call the leads, work the leads, provide great service, and rely on us to keep those people coming in the door. And I think that looking at the digital marketing landscape, a lot of companies, with all due respect to them, they focus on the first step, which is like running the campaigns. Our focus is on steps 1, 2, and 3, running the campaigns, building close relationships with our client partners, and enabling them to do the best they can to help build their business. Um, kind of a end result of all of this is we have multiple client partners that came to us with like one location of a franchise group, and now they've got 5, 10,
Yeah.
just because of the work that
I
our
can
team
feel
has
your
done.
passion. You're
And it's
giving me
something that
chills.
like
I was like, oh my gosh,
it's
you're going to
really
make me
unique,
cry.
and I feel very fortunate to be here.
But yeah, let's do it again. No, and it's true. It always breaks my heart when you learn
What was the
about
question
people
again?
getting burned or anything by marketing companies or marketing experience. I really sure, there's companies out there, but I think it's just the relationship. I think it's the lack of education that they're
Yeah.
communicating to the person, because if they don't really have any concept or idea, or if they're being told
Hmm.
of a certain marketing tactic, and you have a company that's coming in and saying something different, it's all about that relationship. And it's so true. Our team is
Yes.
incredible of just like making sure that we're breaking down so they do feel confident, and
Hmm.
we're teaching them, the concepts of different marketing, but also allowing us to take that off of their plate and
Hmm.
expand. And if you expand more locations, we are an extension of your company. So like, we want to do that with you.
Hmm.
And oh, I can feel your heart. That's for sure. I love it. Okay, so let's break down the different types, because this is your expertise, right? Let's break down different types of digital ads and like what people
Very
need to
cool.
know about them.
Absolutely. So, if I geek out and I get a little too excited, just reel me back in. So there's literally a digital advertising for a solution for almost any problem any business might have. Starting with social advertising or Facebook ads, highly data driven, using behavioral data, interest data, website data, all of these different points to target a group of consumers that are most likely to do business with you. Right? I've always said social media advertising is the most cost effective way to reach a targeted group of consumers online. Now, here's the caveat: there is people that are consuming social media, they're not usually actively thinking about scheduling a dental appointment or buying a car, right? They're just living life. And then the ads are getting served to them as they're just going about life. Well, the beauty of social media advertising, Facebook ads and Instagram, TikTok even, is that as an advertiser, I'm saying, I think based on your behavioral data points, you're going to really love this here. But they may not be ready for that piece of information. So they may scroll past it, they may click it, they may go check it out, not convert, and go on. So that's why Facebook ads are very, very good at generating a high volume of leads, a high volume of traffic to your site from a very targeted group of people. Now, if we're going to move to paid search, Google ads, Bing, stuff like that, now we're getting into what we call intent. And intent is basically, well, I could put it like this. You may like me tell lies to your friends, but you don't lie to Google, right? Like if you lie to
Right.
Google, you don't get what you're looking for. So when you're searching Google, that's honest intent for that solution that you're searching for. Well, with Google ads, we're able to bid on these keyword queries to serve ads to people based on what they're actually looking for. So if someone is looking for the best dental practice near me, they're not just, oh, maybe I want to go. They've got something they need to go get checked out. They have a need, right? So when you think about the difference between like Facebook ads, Google ads is really hinged on intent. But that does come with a premium. Facebook ads, social media advertising, most cost effective way to reach a targeted group of consumers. But Google ads, more expensive because it's higher intent. So you'll get fewer leads, but they generally are higher quality. Those are the top two we generally recommend as a 1-2 punch, because studies do show if you run paid social and paid search, there is a lift in overall conversions. However, there are other exciting platforms like programmatic advertising that I'm really in love with. It's not an uber new thing, but the technology behind programmatic advertising has evolved immensely over the last couple of years. With programmatic advertising, we can target people based on what kind of content they're consuming across the web, what they're searching for on non-Google search engines. So imagine someone searching for oral health remedies on Amazon, right? Would indicate they've got something they're trying to fix. So that's a little bit intent there. The different search queries that they have on individual websites themselves, and also where they are geolocation wise. And this is only like 4 or 5 of like my top favorites. So programmatic advertising allows us to take unstructured data and put people into targeting parameters that don't discredit them by putting them in categories, but putting them as individuals in a group that we want to target.
Mm, that is
So my
amazing.
so my analogy here for programmatic advertising is, let's say you like Skittles. Do you like Skittles?
I love Skittles.
Do you have a favorite flavor? Like, what's your favorite Skittles?
Orange. Orange and
Orange.
yellow. Yeah.
So would you rather me hand you a bag of orange and yellow Skittles, or would you rather me just give you a bag of Skittles and say pick them out?
No, orange and yellow.
Programmatic advertising allows us to take a group of individuals and only target the orange and yellow Skittles based on what kind of content they're consuming, where they're going, and other behavioral attributes. So programmatic advertising is very powerful. Caveat, it's display, it's a banner ad. So that's going to be a little bit higher funnel, right? So you may not get as many conversions, but you absolutely are going to get your marketing message in front of that hyper targeted individual that you want to get in front of. So all of those three together are kind of the triad of success we have. TikTok is also super powerful. You can't deny that. Um, there are other ancillary sites that are great, but for instance, we're having a lot of really good success with our dental practices on Yelp right now. Believe it or not, Yelp has refreshed their advertising options, and it's really powerful. We had a practice in North Carolina with like an 18x return on investment in 30 days. We had to double run the numbers because we couldn't believe it, and it was just amazing. But you think about it, Yelp as a platform isn't as saturated as like a Facebook or Google or Instagram. So for a
Right.
lower investment in media spend, you can actually get a better ROI, but you got to stick with the platform because there's not as many high volume users all at the same time. So there's just a lot of different exciting digital advertising platforms out there. It really is a matter of having a conversation on a person's goals, their tolerance, waiting for results, right? So like with Facebook, you'll get a lot of leads right now, but you're going to have to work them and see. Google takes a little bit longer, Yelp a little bit longer, but ROI is absolutely there with all of these platforms. And it really is just finding the right mix of data to accomplish the goals that are prescribed.
I love that you broke down targeting because that is the best vision and like the best way described that I've ever heard. So yay, because it's a
Mm-hmm.
hard thing to wrap your head around, all these different avenues to go down. The
Yep,
common thing I hear about Yelp is I hate Yelp, like I don't trust Yelp. But you're right, it has less competition, and the people that
absolutely.
are on Yelp are very dedicated and loyal to the Yelp brand. So it's so interesting to see. But that they're a great example of
Mm-hmm.
one day one company can be the best, and then the next day it can completely be something different. So it's staying on top and making sure.
Mm-hmm.
We're lucky to have partnerships to be able to try things out and be able to like make sure, is it worth this money and time and effort,
Absolutely.
to really
Yeah.
check and see, what's all this hype about and what's it going. It's amazing. But you talked about the specific audience with the Skittles, but like how do you determine what is the best target for the audiences? Like how do you know
Absolutely.
that you're
So
going
I think you
after
said
the
earlier,
right
everything's about testing.
people, if that makes
And
sense?
generally speaking, and let's use Facebook, Instagram ads for an example. Our ad
Mm-hmm.
strategists went into their market with one campaign, and a couple of different ad sets, different targeting parameters that we think are a good go-to-market strategy. And with that, we'll test 3 to 5 different ad variants to give the market a bunch of different looks. And we'll let that mix of a campaign run for, let's give it 14 days. But in that time frame, we're going to see different ads and different targeting parameters triggering different amounts of leads. And from there, that's when you nurture the things that are performing well and you
Mm-hmm.
remove anything not serving you. And we call it pruning. And one of the things that's really hard, and that's what becomes the data part of this, is making sure that you have a team that's on it every single day and following up on the data to prune those ads.
I love that you talked about the Skittles analogy. Like literally that's the best way it could have possibly been described. The best way that I've heard like ever. And typically when you think of Yelp ads and everyone's always like I hate Yelp, right? And but it is. It's staying on top of those trends. It's being able to test and
Mm-hmm.
having those partnerships to make sure that what is working, what's not working, because one day it might not be, and then the next day it's the best thing that there is because Yelp, it makes sense. There's less competition, but the people that are there are very loyal to Yelp, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the ads have to work. Everything has to make the platform. But to go back to the specific audiences, how I mean, the first thing that's going to come to mind is like, well, I want to target all kinds of different people. Like, I just want to make sure that people need a new roof or I just need that specific audience. How do you break down and make sure that you're targeting the right audience or
Mm-hmm.
who you should actually go after?
Yeah, so very very nuanced answer. So if I get a little, just reel me back in again.
Yeah.
But first, it starts with research, right? It starts with going back to the collaboration and partnership between client partners is taking what you know as a fact. Hey, this is what our best patient looks like. This is what our best customer looks like demographically. Here's what we know about them, and us taking that, putting it through our filter on the platforms, and trying to build an audience model about what you're telling us your best audience is. Additionally, doing our own research of saying, okay, well, they said this, but they didn't mention that. So we're going to create another audience and test that variable with it.
Ooh,
So let's use Facebook ads, for instance. And I think you said this earlier, you got to test everything. With Facebook ads, we may take, one campaign and break that up into probably three different audiences, similar but a little bit different, and deploy 3 to 5 ad variants per ad set, which is the targeting, to see which ads are working best and which audience targeting is generating the best leads. From there, our team has a meticulous way of pruning out the ads and the targeting that aren't generating the leads we want. So this is a great way to nurture your cost per acquisition. This is a great way to reduce what we call budget waste. We hate that. And it's also a great way to learn new things, because what a partner might say is their target audience. That may be great in real life, but there may be behavioral attributes on these social channels that we weren't aware of that's a trend in people that are actually converting really well for them. So it's all about testing, and it's about having an open mind and open dialogue, and remembering it's a partnership and that we have to test to find that sweet spot. Um, and there's going to be targeting parameters out there that you didn't expect to work very well. But if you follow a string of logic, you're like, oh, that makes sense. I'll give you an example. We had one client partner that they were dead set. This is who I want to go after. This is it. This is where the money is. And we, of course, deployed that for them. And their service was very unique. And the thought process of our strategy team was, hey, if this is a unique service, it's kind of a new thing to market. What kind of people would want to know about that? Well, we were thinking, well, hey, if you watch a lot of news, right, you want to know about new things as they're happening. And so
right?
maybe those kind of people would want to know about a new service in the local area. And so we said, hey, let's make an audience segmentation of the proper age, gender, and location, but let's add some news consumption targeting parameters to it. And
Hmm.
by and large, that one outperformed the one we thought was the surefire audience, because our hypothesis was true, and the data showed us that. And we backed that data out to verified revenue, and we were able to compare the numbers and say, hey, this audience was actually a surprise and it was a winner. So I know that was a really long-winded way to say it, but if I were to
No.
summarize, it's testing, it's having an open mind, but then also being super tactic agnostic, I'll say. Don't tie yourself to
Mhm.
one thing, and just really follow the data. And then if you can do all of those things, then you will find a great audience to serve ads to.
Oh, it's such a great. I love the fact that it's not just because they're the people that attract in person doesn't mean it's going to be that same person online. So really thinking outside the box and thinking like, ooh,
Yes.
the obvious answer isn't always so obvious, like let's really think who we could go after, and maybe that's the audience you've always had, but it doesn't mean it's the audience you have to always have. Like you could switch it. Who's ideal,
You
who
said it perfectly. You said it perfectly. We have with Google Analytics, right? We'll talk to client partners and we'll hear how they're describing their ideal consumer, and then we'll pull the analytics information of the top visitors to their site, and it's like two different people. It's like two different things, and that's why we have to have an open mind and have this dialogue and test, test, test.
Oh, I love that. Well, okay, so you're testing, you get the right audience, you get the right ads out there, they're responding. Now the
Hmm.
question is, what do business owners need to expect as far as like participating and making sure that those ads don't just go, you're not putting all this money in and now did they get on the books? Like, did they get an appointment? Did they buy your product?
Hmm.
How much do they have to be involved to make sure that it's successful from beginning all the way to the end?
This is a partnership. True
Okay.
success with digital advertising is a partnership. A lot of times it will say, well, that's what we hired you guys for. Just, make it happen. And while, our team's very skilled, we have very intelligent people, we're very good at what we do. Once that person enters an office or once that person enters the store, we can't make them convert. And that's all on, the client partner side of making sure they're following up on a great sales process. They're putting those leads into an email cadence. They're doing some internal marketing to make sure they're, even if that person didn't convert right now, putting them into a drip campaign to make sure you're nurturing them to catch them when they are ready to convert, and understanding that there is a cycle to this. Not everybody's ready to do business immediately. So I think as long as everybody who does work with a digital advertising, digital marketing partner understands that there is a little bit of lifting on your side, those are the people that we work the best with. They're the ones that are giving the feedback. Hey, these leads, they're not turning into patients. They're not so great. Okay, why? What are they saying? What can we change? How can
Yes.
we do better? We need that feedback to improve. And that's only done by close collaboration. And honestly, some of our most long and fun relationships are people that are going to say, hey, that was a bad batch of leads, guys. What do you got? And then our teams have to get in the lab and fix it, right? And
Right.
that's what makes digital advertising so much fun, is having the input from your client partners so you can troubleshoot and find solutions to these issues to improve. So I would say they can expect for a true relationship that's going to be very lucrative for them. They can expect to be a part of the process, and they should be prepared to do so.
And that makes it fun. That's how you know it's working. Like you get to see their journey all the way through and making sure
Hmm.
like, yes, we're going to make it easy for them to act, but you need to also make sure that it's easy for it to go all the way through and that you get that money, right? Like you actually
Absolutely.
get that paycheck when it
Yeah,
comes in.
exactly.
So it's worth the ROI and that it's actually working.
Hmm.
It is a partnership, and that's the beauty of marketing is we all have to collaborate, work together. Yes, we're taking a lot off
Hmm.
your plate, or any marketing company is taking a lot off your plate, but we need it's a team effort to make sure it gets to the finish line and that you get to see it through.
Absolutely.
That's the beauty of
A
it.
really great a really great example. I know we were hammered that home, but one of the technologies that we do is calls from like paid search. We can actually do call recording, and that helps our team
Yes.
understand how we can improve. But we also hear how that call was handled, and so sometimes you get in conversations of like, "Hey, these leads aren't converting; they're not any good." And we're like, "Well, you know, you may have hung up on that person." So we can hear that, right? So there is a little bit of accountability on both sides, but it's all in the spirit of partnership and making sure that the campaigns are lucrative.
And that's what's beautiful about it too, right? We can be able to give feedback, and that might be something that you don't even know. And obviously,
Hmm.
it's a human on the other side. They could be having a bad day. They could be, things
Exactly.
might be going on, or they might just not be a good fit for the company. But you don't want to be putting all these ad dollars out and knowing that it's working and it's coming
Hmm.
in, but you're not getting the value back because of something like that. So the
Exactly.
partnership comes in to be like, hey, we're going to work on this on our end, we're going to need you to work on this, and then this is all going to work together, and it's going to be awesome, and
Hmm.
we'll have a party afterwards and we'll celebrate. It's going to be great because you'll have all this money.
Absolutely.
So it's all good.
Exactly.
Well, Nate, thank you so much for talking with me today, and everybody that's watching out there and tuning in, thank you so much for also joining us. If you want to learn more about how to generate more business with digital ads and have Nate and his team and all of our team take care of you, go to yourdigitalresource.com. Thanks, guys. Thanks, Nate.
Thank you.